That's your video?
Growing up together, what stands out to me from everything is like our imagination, creativity, and like our play. Most people, as you grow up, you lose those things. But with us, I think we realized that those things were kind of put in us. Some sort of destiny that was put inside of us. And we both recognized it, so we never brushed it under the rug. And that allowed it to kind of grow and develop as we grew up.
Not even to go against the grain. I think it's just to provide and create from an integral kind of the way that art was meant to be made.
Look at what I got on vacation. Sorry. I got we went to the beach
Yeah.
in July.
Where at?
Orange Beach in Alabama.
Okay.
There's this store, it's a comic book action figure store.
So your type of vibe?
And then connected to it, there's like this movie video game store. And Jake and I stop there every year we stop by there. And anyways, look what I found. I had to get it when I was there. Hold on.
I think I have a theory on what it may be.
So what do you think it is? Did you see it in the corner?
No, I didn't see it in the corner, but it has to be something Wolverine, right?
Oh my God. You sure you didn't see it?
No, I know you.
I know you
did. Yeah.
Did I already tell you about this?
No, I know you loved Wolverine, James. Come
Isn't
on.
that cool?
That's cool.
And it fit me
Yeah.
like perfectly.
Mhm.
Like it just fits my noggin, you know?
Yeah.
Anyways.
I remember we were at the pipeline. You were making a Wolverine mask, man. Yeah.
Well, I never should have made one because they had one there. Anyways. All right. Down to brass tacks.
Brass tacks. Should I introduce myself type of thing?
We can do whatever we want to.
Yeah.
Introduce
Hey.
yourself. If not, I'm putting your name in the bio and stuff.
Hey, my name is Paolo Leduna. Like James said, all of us have origin stories. Mine is there's a lot of different points where I think it gets started, but the one that I like to focus on, especially in context of this movie, is how me and James met.
My name is James Hardin, and I'm the Executive Director of the Tyler Innovation Pipeline.
Walked into his office, kind of had a tight feeling in my chest, heard about the innovation pipeline for a while now, decided to let my nuts hang, you know what I mean? Decided to walk in there and be like, hey man, you should let this kid with a dream use this place, because I could make it, I could do my thing with it. And I said it, of course, in a more honest way, because my dream is to build a company called Vision, where we are able to use our skills, crafts, our talents as artists to make a life for ourselves that we are proud of. I'm a musician. Before anything, I dabbled in videography, photography. I'm more of a generalist artist than anything. Don't really specialize in too much, but I just know that we are too good to not get paid. So that's kind of been what I focus on. And when I walked into the innovation pipeline, James was there. He was sitting there, just quietly listening to me rant, ramble. Talk about the ideas that I had, negotiating, and to my surprise, he let me in, and ever since then we got closer, worked beside him, and you know through that time, I realized I learned a lot about hands-on business. I learned a lot about, just me as a person needing to grow up. And very grateful for those opportunities. And there would be moments of peace and quiet where me and James would escape to my favorite room, which was the recording studio.
Yeah.
And we just cook up some instrumentals. I'd record music in there. James heard some of the tracks that I made. I shared my album with him. Wanted some of my music on a specific scene, put it together, worked every now and then, during those passing moments to make it happen. But yeah, that's a little bit about how me and James came together, came to be, a little bit of that origin. So yeah.
Well, let me tell you my perspective of this of this story.
Yeah.
One thing that I know is going to come up in all these interviews, and it's like bittersweet. All of it is the pipeline. But I know that's going to come up in other interviews as well.
It's inevitable.
It was such a HQ for that, you know?
It is such an HQ, yeah.
Yeah, but what you come to find out is after the tragedy of the innovation pipeline, the sweet silver lining in it is like it wasn't a building, it wasn't a place, it wasn't even the stuff that was there, it was the people. And that's still alive, and it's not called the pipeline, it's deeper than that, and it's more than that. That was just it served its purpose,
It did
people
its
say
course.
It was a failure, but it did what it was supposed to, and that'll come up in these conversations. But what I remember was I used to sit in my office, and every day, which obviously this, having worked there with me and stuff, you never know what the day is going to hold.
Yeah.
You don't know who's going to come through the door, but almost every day it was something. And I had so many people come in and just offer like their services in exchange for memberships and just deals and stuff like that. And you just got to learn to go with your gut. And like so many people, there were some good ones, there were some sleazy ones. But you came through and I was like blown away because you're like way younger than I am, but you were like 10 times more professional and on point than I ever dreamed to be. And I was like, you walked in there and you started telling me everything. And it's like going, I'm like, man, they make them like way better than they used to. And so eons smarter than I
appreciate that.
Yeah, man. And but you did have that, like, you had what all those other people didn't have, and it was authenticity. And, even as professional as you were, I felt that from you. And then, of course, that was like right in the middle of like whenever things really started to get difficult there. And I had a dream at some point over those couple of weeks where I was at the pipeline and there were some like employees that were shifting in and out. And then this new wave of like employees came in. And they were faceless, right? But they brought a big TV, a huge TV, and they hung it up on the wall. And I woke up and the gist of that dream was like, okay, there's new staff with a big TV. With which the TV, what is a television? Vision.
Shout out Vision.
And so I was like, oh, okay. So I put two and two together, and this was in the midst of you with this offer. It's like Vision, okay. They're gonna like deck the wall with Vision or whatever and bring something new. But yeah, like you said, ever since that point on, when we worked together, yeah, we faced some serious Avengers level threats, which I'm like, as difficult as that stuff was, it's kind of worth it. It's kind of like we got some stories. We got some stories to tell.
Yeah,
Been through
we got
the
the war
ringer.
stories.
But also like that podcast studio, sitting in there, we would take like escape breaks.
Yeah.
Like that was gold. Like that's in my memory palace, like sitting in that studio making music and stuff. That was magic.
Y'all don't understand, man, the days, man. Me and James been through it, man. We so locked in.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. It's been great. I look fondly on those days now because I definitely think that, it wouldn't be, especially now where I'm at with my business classes and the level that I'm working with people at, it definitely calls for that type of experience. And I'm finding that because I had that experience, it's making everything I'm applying now a lot easier. And so
Yeah.
I am very grateful because all my friends said it was necessary for me to grow as a leader, to be stronger. And I was like, I needed that. I needed that in that time. And as much as it hurt, God knew for a fact that I was able to take it on the chin. So
Yeah.
not too difficult. You know, we made some good friends on the way. We met
Yeah.
some people. We learned the people not, and so I'm very grateful for it. I love the place. I still think about those memories fondly. You know what I mean? It was a good time. It was a
Yeah.
good time.
Yeah, it
So
was. Huh. Well, you said you're a musician.
yes,
It's an understatement.
amen.
You've got the it's well, one thing is you're actually a musician. A lot of people say that, and then you're like, where's your stuff? And they're like, oh, I don't have any of it, um, or they're like, really not. I mean, everybody has a degree of something, everybody has their thing, but I think you were built for music. A part of you,
Yeah.
that's definitely a
Yes.
part of your like essence. And but you have this like really cool balance that most people don't have of like, I guess, left brain, right brain. A lot of artists live in dream world. They live in the dreamland, but they can't execute it. It's like super difficult to even, get it out there and to
Yeah.
move with it and stuff. But you got both of those. How did that? I mean, when did you start? Like, when did you realize music was a kind of a weapon of choice
Yeah.
for you?
So I used to listen to a lot of EDM music. One of the labels that I was really into was Monster Cat because they had a lot of electronic music, specifically in the genres of future bass. And what really captivated me is how people were able to make music without words. I always associated music being with words, but I found it interesting how they could make these sounds that are basically, on paper just sounds. How they're able to orchestrate it and manipulate it in a way where it sounds and tells a coherent story. It conveys a certain emotion. It pulls something out of you. And then when you're looking back on that song, you can relate memories, associate times with those things. I always found that
Yeah,
very interesting. So, and
yeah,
then go to high school year, got my first computer, got my first job, saved up, got me Logic Pro, and Logic Pro is more advanced version of GarageBand, and I just took off from there, just learning the intricacies of audio engineering. And I think that's something that you mentioned with the right brain, left brain,
yeah,
because there is a love that I have, and I feel so passionate about it. It's about marrying. I will spend 3 hours of a time designing a single sound
yeah,
because each sound is like a different paintbrush. Each sound has a different texture. Each sound has a different form, a shape. And so understanding how to manipulate that shape and make it work in the grand context. That's what I really love about
yeah.
music. And that's what it takes me a while to make my tracks because I will spend literal hours on a single sound, which will make my tracks end up being for months. And so,
That really is a balance though, like that area of like it could infinitely be better or it could infinitely
yeah,
infinitely improve on it, which is a dangerous spot. It's an abyss
it
to
is.
go there.
It is. You just
Yeah,
go
at some
down.
point you've got to like cut it and release it.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, but like, yeah, music. Yeah, as you're talking about it and stuff, and as I'm thinking about it, like it really is a deeper form, possibly one of the deepest forms of communication because it
It's a
can
universal
it
language.
is, and it
Hmm.
it relays just feeling and emotion that words can't express, you
Hmm.
know? But
It's
even if
so,
it
yeah.
comes from a place, what's so crazy about it is it's coming from like an experience or wherever you're pulling it from, and then you share it, and then other people are able to like test those waters and like
Hmm.
it affects them in different ways. Sometimes it relays the feeling you're trying to convey, and it really is a deeper form.
It is. Something that my music mentors always taught me was music is people. And because you can really you know, when you're listening to different cultures of music, they have different feels, cadences, flows, and
Yeah.
the fact that the human essence can be contained in those sounds, that collection of sounds,
Yeah.
always been fascinating to me.
I always go back to, I think you were the one that relayed this to me. We were talking about, with the movie and like even sitting there watching it and also scoring it. There was one day we were, and it might have been on a podcast, we were talking about what differentiates like movies today. I'll say this all day long. It's my
Hmm.
opinion, but it's my opinion.
Say it with your chest, James. Come on.
But movies are just like, I go watch a movie and I can't even pinpoint what it is exactly. A lot of it's like you can tell, these people went to film school or whatever because the lighting is perfect. It's pristine. Everything's just perfect and clean. And the same like with music, and there's so much quantity of it. It's just like you can't
Hmm.
turn it so loud and noisy, but not necessarily in a good way. And you and I were talking about that, and you said it. You hit the nail on the head. You said it's because it lacks humanity. We were talking
Yep.
about the messiness and the grittiness and the
Yes.
flaw of it, and you were like, "Yeah, humanity is
I
the
remember
is the
this point.
key."
Yes.
And that struck me like a bolt of lightning. I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's it." And that's what, like with the movie, that's what I'm proud of. But that's also why I'm able to make it so freely and
Hmm.
fully is because like I embrace that stuff and I know it's going to be there. And I don't
Hmm.
need perfection, But even your music and the stuff that you add stuff to it that adds humanity to it. I mean, just some of the you're talking about the noises and like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
shapes and stuff like that.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Yes, I can nerd out about this all day
Well,
because I love, like I said, sound design is one of the things I focus on heavily. And so when I'm doing vocals, I have two specific types of vocals that I always include. Either one is in a distorted, really low quality filter, and one which is clean cut. So the clean cut one, I want that to portray what is being presented on the outside. That's what, normally, how we regularly communicate on a day-to-day basis. This is how we talk. This is how we want it to be presented. It's nice, it's neat, it sounds perfected, it sounds practiced. But when it comes to the really low quality filter, I don't try to I usually limit myself to one or three takes. I don't, if I mess up, so what? But during these takes, what I really try to emphasize is the emotion. I will let my performance either be angrier, a little more sad, just to emphasize that this is how I truly feel on the inside. This is kind of what you're seeing, don't see behind, when I'm presenting myself. And what I will do is I'll blend this clean cut vocals with supporting messy vocals in the background to show how, they're kind of
hmm,
masking and hiding, but these are truly what I feel. I do the same thing with the sounds that I have. I have pixelated sounds to kind of show that messiness, that fuzziness, and I think that's why our like styles of music as well as like your film match
yeah,
really well because you had, like you said, we relate really well on that gritty style,
yeah,
that that very gorilla-esque. This is we'll get it done human
yeah,
style. That humanization I think is very important because in a world where we're trying to be perfect all the time, where we're trying to strive to be, the best and present ourselves as the best,
right,
it's not really genuine.
right.
It isn't really real anymore. It doesn't have that humanity, and what makes humanity so beautiful is how flawed it is.
That's good. And there's freedom. There's freedom in the flaw, in the lack of perfection, in the humanity. Like that's where like actual freedom is.
Right.
And to just be a force of creativity is to let go of what people think about it or, how it could be weighed or poked at, prodded at. I,
I call that concept. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut
no,
you
hit
off.
me. Go.
I call that concept an artist the last string. I think it's such a fascinating
Ah,
phenomenon. I broke out of my last string and I just kind of like let loose. I think after my junior year of high school, something in me just snapped. it released all that fear. I threw it out the window because I felt it was holding me back, and I just created. And I think that artists tend to have that last string, the thing that just lets them fall into their art. I think about
Yeah.
Into the Spider-Verse when Miles Morales is falling, and it shows that scene where he's rising up. That's what I think of it as, when you just embrace your art. You stop caring about, what other people say. The only thing that should matter is how it makes you feel.
Yeah.
And
That's
then, yeah.
the falling.
Mm-hmm.
The imagery that you're talking about, like of the falling, the string being cut and you falling, it's not something you have to step into. It's something you have to let go of everything else and
Mm-hmm.
fall into who you already are,
Mm-hmm.
and that's like, it's the opposite of like strife and like
Yes,
working towards something, but it's so freeing.
it
But you
is.
have to, you sacrifice perceptions of other, you have to sacrifice what you're going to look like, what you're going to sound like, what people are going to
Mm-hmm.
think about you, but it's so worth it.
It is. It
So,
is.
so many people have ideas. I know you know this too. People will like come to you and like, hey, I want to do this, and I want to start this, and I want to make movies, and I want to do this,
Yeah.
and like so much of it's those strings are there, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, let me see this one, and cut it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like you just got to do it. And it's
Mm-hmm.
almost like they're trying to, like a, a puppet or something. You got to
It
cut the
is.
strings, but
It
it's like,
is.
do it. Yeah, there's no, be fearless or be courageous if you're afraid. You just be afraid and do it.
I also
Um,
think, on top of that, I think it's interesting because I think I'm starting to understand a little more on why it's so difficult. Because humans, we're especially creatives, and where ideas stem from, they're just always creative pursuits. They're it comes from that natural, that good feeling of being able to create something.
yeah,
But when you are letting go and cutting those last string, that's an act of destroying. That's
yeah,
an act of destroying expectations. That's an
yeah,
act of destroying the weights that, others may have put on you, and being able to let all of that go so you can actually carry the weights of what you want to achieve. And I think that is such a difficult concept for artists to understand, destroying something in order for them to actually be able to carry on a different weight.
yeah.
It's just an interesting concept to me. I love when I see an artist just let go and they just become unhinged.
I
And
know, dude.
it's so awesome. It's just so deep. It's just something about seeing someone in their natural genius, awe-inspiring.
It
So
is.
yeah.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. And you worded it once again so perfectly. The last string, that's what it is. Yeah, it lights me up when I see somebody stepping into that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Lights me up.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like my whole life, the majority of it has been strings and a hacksaw, like trying to
Yeah.
sever through it. Um, I don't know what one moment I had. I just know it was a gradual practice of like, I always lived in my dreams, like as a kid and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I can go back. There's some stories like during nap time
Mm-hmm.
in kindergarten, I was like using pencils and stuff as characters. I'm
Yeah.
supposed to be asleep, and I'm over here like coming up with stories and stuff during nap time. And like action figures, I had like Star Wars action figures and Batman, and like this is back before they had like the prequel trilogy and all the new movies and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. It was just the original, and so I always wondered how Darth Vader became Darth Vader. Well,
Right.
I could do that story with my action. I had the characters. I could make up
Yeah.
that in my mind and live that. But mine was like I always lived in the dreams, and I had such difficulty putting feet to it. And I would say for like 20 something years,
Mm-hmm.
I just had stories in my brain, movies and stories and ideas that just like were in there.
Yeah.
And I didn't, I don't know. And it's just part of a theme that I've been experiencing and thinking about is like, as people, we're either consuming or we're creating.
Yes, that's a
It's
great
so much
topic. Yeah.
of it, and I think there's a health in consumption to a degree because you can fuel from it, gain ammo and experience and stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
the life is in the creation. So many
Mm,
people get stuck and we're kind of even like television, like call it TV programming.
mm,
It's like we're taught to consume all the time and made it so easily available. But you can even create and express by helping somebody or just like being respectful to somebody.
mm.
That even that is creative
It
in a
is.
sense. Your communication to somebody else of I just even acknowledge somebody of like, you know, I mean, we're like everybody's so vastly different, but
Mm.
we all just kind of show up here, you know,
Yeah.
on this
Yeah.
rock. So there's something that's relatable with everybody. And
Yeah.
it's almost like the reason that we're so different is so that we can learn to find why we're not, you know, what we are, that we're the same kind of species, you know.
Hmm.
And maybe that's the fun of discovering the essence of who somebody is. But I've been
Hmm.
on that vibe of like, yeah, we really are consuming or creating. And I know that I find life and power when I'm creating.
Hmm.
Um, and it brings me to life, you know, as
Hmm.
opposed to, you know, sitting down. It's fun to watch TV and movies. I
It
love
is.
watching
It
movies,
is. Uh-huh.
but you know, you can get stuck in it though. It's like
It is.
you
It
get pulled into
is.
it.
It is so easy to get stuck in the distraction of consuming because I really think, especially, I've watched a few audio essays talking about how consumerism in America is at an all-time peak. And, especially with the creation of things such as short form content, as well as the fact that the power of the creative and, the creator is no longer strictly in the hands of big corporations, people with money, but now it's also to the individual. Now individuals are on the same playing field as people from long ago, so now they can just pump out content like this.
Yeah.
And so, gosh darn, if I have to watch another TikTok of somebody telling me how to create instead of me getting my hands messy and doing it myself,
Yeah.
yeah, that's how I feel about it.
Yeah. I think that's the cool. It's a blurry vision and direction that I have and I feel,
Hmm.
but I really do feel like artists like us are going to step up out on the stage
Yeah.
with authenticity, and we're going to be artists that can't be like bullied or bought or sold
Hmm.
or compromised, where it's not about that. And
Yeah.
that's dangerous to the rest of the systems, you know. It's really
Yes.
dangerous when you know, you don't have any hooks in people. But
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's the that we're stepping out into that arena, and I think something really cool is going to happen from that.
Very
That
exciting.
may just
And
be me. I think there's something on the very near horizon. It's already happening.
you're talking
Uh,
about like kind of a new renaissance.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. I feel it. I feel it because I want it too. I can't be the
Yeah.
only one
No,
who's
that's
tired of
really interesting.
yeah.
Me and my, so and just for context, Vision started off as a record label. So we have about 14 artists that we work with from different states, um, and whatnot, just all collaborating on making tracks. But all of us are saying the same thing as well that you're saying about having that renaissance, especially because I think people are definitely getting tired of just having the lack of humanity, like we were
Yeah.
talking about. There has been a heavier push towards indie music, which is more of like people consider genuine music.
Yeah.
And what I find interesting is that people are putting more effort into having tangible physical media again.
100%.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
something like people are going back to Polaroids. People like the film aesthetic, the vintage aesthetic again.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
different things. But um, that's something I think is showing that people are kind of going back to changing their perspective on what art should be.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Even that physical media is symbolic. I think that's
Mhm.
symbolic of the authenticity.
And it's really interesting that your film is specifically kind of, VHS tapes. That's a physical media.
Yeah.
And I think that as our artists, because we want that, I think we do need to treat ourselves as the future generation. Because the question I always ask myself when I'm on this journey is, how can I stand with the people who are already at the top? And how can I, value myself at the same level? And the thing that always comes to my head is that I need to have some fucking audacity, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah,
you need to have audacity to say no matter what, I can stand with them. I
yeah,
can be with them. I am one of them. And
yeah,
so I think as artists, I encourage all my people on my artist team as well as, people listening to this, is that have some audacity,
that's
be
good.
able to tell yourself and tell the people around you that one way or another, we are going to be the ones that are leading the future artist
Yeah,
renaissance. We are going to
yeah,
be the ones that are ushering it in. We are going to be some of the people who are making that culture thrive
yeah,
because artists who are, we have to,
I know.
someone has to.
Yeah.
And if it's somebody else, for a fact that you're going to feel fed up with how a shitty job they're doing. Let's not
Yeah,
repeat
yeah.
that mistake
Right.
again, Let's be
Yeah.
the ones in the seats.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. It's a renaissance. That's the perfect word for it. And the audacity, you can have that audacity when you're an artist and you are and you were built that way. Like so many
Right.
people, it's attractive to be that, or people chase the outcomes. People tie themselves to an outcome and then say, I'm a musician or I'm a
Oh, we
filmmaker.
talked about this, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like so a lot of people aren't cut out for it, and you'll find
Uh-huh.
out when they give up or when they
When the rubber
lose.
hits the road, yeah.
You'll find
Yeah,
out
yeah,
at
yeah.
some point or another. Some people can make it, and just kind of trail off, but it won't carry the essence of it.
Mm-hmm.
But like finding that out, that's what I've been talking about. I've been feeling that, like just this honesty, like who are you? What are you
Yeah.
here for? Figure that
Mm-hmm.
out and be honest and be willing. If it's not a filmmaker, if it's not a musician,
Mm-hmm.
you got to be willing to face that. If it's not, to accept that,
Mm-hmm.
and to find out what it is and just scrap the attractive, the money and the success and
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff. But
The
have that,
strings, yeah.
the strings. But as for like the artists and stuff, like my allegiance is to creativity and to art
Mm-hmm.
and to what I see and envision. And my validation is
Mm-hmm.
found in that. It's found like from God. Like
Mm-hmm.
and you can't take that away.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's like, that's where it comes from. When you're
Right.
there, the audacity is the pure, uncompromising, incorruptible beam of power and
Mm-hmm.
expression that is what is so audacious and offensive,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, to the system and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's
Yeah, yeah,
power.
yeah.
That's power.
I definitely agree with you. Hearing about, you know, just being able to, as an artist, sorry, the thing I'm gonna go back to is you were talking about how, some people want the titles, people want,
Yeah.
because it is attractive. I won't lie, being a musician sounds attractive. We talked about this being an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
attractive. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
But yes, it's just I've met so many different artists and so many different people who talk about wanting these different things. But then again, like you said, when the rubber hits the road and when you really, really get to the hard, gritty work, the unfun stuff,
Yeah.
you know, that's where it really shows. And I think that's also audacity too.
Yeah.
The every situation is telling you like, quit. It would be easier.
Yeah.
But everything good, something good doesn't come easy. There's always a price associated with it.
Yeah.
And it's either that cost of time, that cost of effort. For me to be where I'm at today and feel, confident in who I am, there's been so many valleys,
Yeah.
that I've had to go through to get to this point. James has to do a fucking film. You know how long that takes?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Right.
could what?
Yeah.
I folded on doing a short film, man. Like I could never. I'm not gonna say I could never because I want to be at that point
Yeah,
where I
you
am
can.
making films.
Yeah.
So right now, with my current resources, I could not imagine myself making a film.
Yeah.
I couldn't. But someday. Someday.
somebody something. Yeah, and you could do it. Yeah. Um, golly, it's just reminding you're talking about filmmaking and stuff. I keep getting reminded of that, just those days in the studio and scoring it. It was such a, uh, I thoroughly enjoyed being able to talk about the feeling of the scene and the
Mhm.
movie, and you just being able to interpret it with music. That blows my mind because I've never, I mean,
Oh man,
we're in
yeah.
East Texas in the middle of nowhere. For me to just ramble on like I do, and like I don't even know what I'm saying half the time, but to just say what I want, the scene is supposed to feel like, and you're just like, oh yeah, I got it, and you just do this stuff or whatever, and then it comes out, and I was like, huh, I communicated something to Paulo, and then he communicated it back with his language, which is music. And it's
Yeah.
I can understand it. And it's what I
Oh.
was talking to him about. That's
Mhm.
like powerful. And we have footage of some of those sessions, which will definitely I'm going to play some of that
Oh my
across here.
gosh, beautiful.
Yeah, this format,
What?
this podcast format is going to be cinematic. There's music and stuff in it. But one more before I know we're like time wise and stuff. You've got important stuff to do. I don't want to keep you forever. That I just want to like that musical piece that you kind of shared. I mean, the boy and his piano is kind of a part of it. Where does that where did that come from? Because that's in like it's in my
Oh
favorite
man.
scene of the entire movie, and it has such a brother's calling me right now. He's in that scene. That's my favorite scene in the whole movie because it encompasses what we're talking about of like you find out who you are when the rubber meets the road and persistence and like when you slay the dragon, like there's gold there. That's why you slay the thing, That's why the battle and the
Mhm.
horror is worth it and the pain because there's actually something there. And that scene encompasses that. And your music sings that song and it lifts and carries the audience into that theme. But tell me about that song and where that came from.
I'm gonna get a little personal with this one because this is like the only way I can do the song justice. But "A Boy and His Piano" is like one of my nearest and dearest compositions that I've ever made, and it was made out of a time of hurt and finally, like you were saying, slaying that dragon. And so when you showed me that scene, I felt okay letting you like use that track because it represented exactly where the track was coming from.
Mm.
Um, During this time, I made the track as soon as I got to college, and this was the first track where I just sat on a piano and I just played some notes and I just let it all flow. And this was during a time when I was missing home. Before then, I had competed at national speech and debate, and I placed fifth in the nation for original spoken word poetry. And I was dying while I was doing it. I had a peritonsil abscess in the back of my throat. I hadn't eaten or drank water properly in 3 days. I had sepsis, so my heart was poisoned. And I had strep as well as just a lot of bad things going on at the same time. So after the competition, I had to go to the ER. And I was just questioning my mortality for a few days.
Wow.
Um, but during that time, I was performing this poem called The Aftermath, which was a poem that was dedicated to my childhood friend Alan Baynard, who was unfortunately murdered in 2023. And I had promised his older brother that I would take his name to the big stage to immortalize him. And I did. And I remember specific moments where I was told that I was fifth in the nation. No, I was going to compete for first place. We were in the finals bracket. Then I just went out to the van while everybody else was staying on the inside. I still couldn't eat or drink, and the sun was just golden. It was just shining, and I sat out there and I just cried. And I thought it was really interesting how previously I had let my ego talk for me a lot. I would, talk about myself, pump myself up because I felt very insecure about myself, and I was trying to, remind myself of who I was. But in that moment and throughout that whole competition, God told me to just be quiet, listen to Him, and only speak when the art was there to speak for me. I really thought that me having that sickness, not being able to speak otherwise, was symbolic of that. Just trying to let the art really speak for me. And went through that whole competition. Before that, the rest of the year was just really bad. Really, really difficult. I think I had nearly died 2 other times before that. One of them was a car crash, and then there was a gas leak. Just really bad situations. And
Yeah.
I've been challenged and pushed, and this was all after I had moved away from my home of Philadelphia, where my true friends were. And I was stuck in Texas, and I didn't know what was happening. And after all these events went on during my senior year, moved to college, and I was away from home again. I was away from my friends, my family. I was building a life for myself. I was trying to build a business by myself, not knowing what to do. I was leading a group of people. I didn't know what to do. And so I just got in the studio and I just sat at my piano, just shut up and played. And it reminded me that I am simply a man. Not even a man in that moment, but I was a boy in this world, and the only comfort that I had was the thing that was the most familiar to me throughout it all. That being this piano. This piano where I can play my notes and talk in a language that is for me. And so I just pressed play, just freestyled on it, which resulted in the song, and I still have those keys memorized to my fingers to this day. But yes, it's one of my most genuine tracks. It's me. It's something that let me have a moment of peace in everything that had been going on leading up to that moment, just to remind myself that, I am a child that is growing up, and reminding myself where I had come from, and kind of representative of home, that being that piano, finding that home within the music. And so, yeah, that's a little bit about the track. The track, it actually transitions in with other of my tracks, which are played in the same chord, because my grand plan is to have all these piano tracks, all these different, variations of the same chord patterns be put together in a big symphony at the end of my music career. And so all of them are going all together. And the last one is going to be a boy and his piano.
Wow.
To show that, through my musical journey, as much as I've matured, as much as I've grown, at the core of it, in my heart, I am still a boy with his piano.
Yeah.
And no one can take that away.
Yeah.
And so that's what a boy and a piano means to me, and, the story behind it, so.
Wow. Thanks for sharing that, dude.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, that's powerful. That's home. That's home. What you're saying there. That piano is home, man.
Yeah.
Wow. Thanks for sharing that. I mean it. And thanks for being a part of the allowing that to be a part of the movie. That scene to me is that in writing this stuff, that scene to me is my expression of a boy and his piano. Like that child I've told you before, like I'm a kid. I'm just a big kid.
Yeah.
And I've almost lost it. And I tried to kill it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But fortunately and thankfully and luckily, I was able to it was revived. I don't say I did it. It was revived through a series of different things and definitely hardship and pain and near death, that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
but that's what that scene is to me, because in that scene he survives. The child survives the onslaught of the world and breaks through. And it's so concreted and and Charlie in that's what he embodies, is that kid.
Yeah.
That's not meant to die, that's meant to survive and mature and grow. That is the heart and the backbone of life.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's powerful, dude.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, man.
It was a combo made in heaven, man.
It was the scene of us in there working on that scene, specifically in the studio and at Hoff, is just in my memory palace. So somewhere I can visit.